she just stopped moving, stopped talking, like, and it is such a stark difference to, you know, the not screaming, but the groaning and the moaning and the...
It's just the nothing.
And then you're just like, nothing. Like, awkward silence of, like, death. And then baby comes out. It's fine. Cool.
Let's talk
about pregnancy.
We're talking about pregnancy. No, we're talking about giving birth, I think. Yeah. Or maybe pregnancy. A little
pregnancy,
bit of both.
Oh, God. What was I going to say? I was watching, so a lot of my content lately on TikTok as I scroll mindlessly in the evening.
Is that scared?
Yes, because so there was I wish I had saved her content because it was actually really good. She was explaining the 3 different phases or the 3 different sequences that happen during labor. So you have pre-labor, and she explains like this is how long your contractions last, like, and how far apart they are, and she explains like what your body can feel like during that time, so you can still speak through it and stuff like that, and it doesn't take all of your attention and stuff. And it was so strange because I didn't actually think of my previous labor as like a 3-part thing because there's so many interventions, but yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, that's true. I could speak through it for a long time. I could laugh through it. And then she was like, you've got like, 6 to 8 centimeters, and then this takes a little bit more of your energy, and then you've got the transition, which is like 8 to 10 centimeters. And when I got to that video, I started bawling my eyes out. It was trauma that I didn't know I had, and it was like somebody just ripped that massive scab off of me, and it was like, oh, oh my God, I have to go through all of that again. And I remember that moment in transition where I was crawling out of my skin over the bed, trying to I was holding on to Zach for dear life, and she was like saying how if you've got your partner there and like you obviously have a good relationship, you're just clawing at them to help you and make it stop, and yet you have no words to explain it to them that it's so important to have that connection. Because I remember with Zach, like I couldn't say it, but I was looking at him and grabbing onto him and like clawing at him. And at one point I went to bite him, and he still laughs about it. But it was really that moment of absolute despair of like, my body cannot handle this anymore. Like, you have to make it stop. And I was like bawling my eyes out. And then Zach was like, are you okay? Why are you crying on the couch? I'm like, it's terrible. Anyway,
I remember I got really constipated once, and I did exactly the same to Connor, but totally different scenario, and it really did feel like it hurt that badly. I was clawing onto him and going, you got fed! And we both agreed.
It's rough, man. Honestly, I will tell you that the after labor, because when you give birth, naturally, I imagine it'd be the same with the C-section. I can't speak to it because obviously I didn't have one. But your body stops all of the functions of digesting your food and moving it down, because now your body's focused on getting the baby out. So screw digestion, screw going number 2. And so it's like they will keep you at the hospital or wherever, the birth clinic or whatever. They will keep you for a certain amount of days, and they will consistently ask you, have you had a poop yet? Yeah. Because if you haven't, you get, oh my God, it was bad. And sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I have a tip I saw on TikTok. A gastroenterologist had chewed gum immediately after you give birth because it starts your bits up again.
I saw that one as well. That is a good one. Yeah. But I was gonna say, like, I had the worst. Like, they sent me home. Well, actually, I did ask to be discharged because we were there for like 2 days and stuff, and Zach was like super uncomfortable, and I mean, I felt fine, so I was like, yeah, let's go home. Yeah, I was in a mattress like this. And they didn't feed him or anything. Like, he just had, like, my leftovers. It was quite sad, actually. I'm so glad we're not doing that. I mean,
he could have gone out and gotten food.
I know, but he didn't want to leave me in prison. But he didn't want to leave us, which was very sweet. But anyways, and so I didn't actually have my solid poo after labor. And it was hands down the worst experience right after giving birth, because I think a week and a half It was horrible. I just couldn't go. And I
God,
kept
that would
needing
feel
to go and keep
awful.
going, and then nothing would come out. And then I was just, and then I
Does your
asked
body
for
get shy?
no, I don't think so.
Like you're too scared to push type of thing, or like?
Oh, maybe a little bit. And also I had an episiotomy. I was scared of ripping stitches and stuff like that. But my midwife had given me Laxol, and even the Laxol didn't help. And I was like, oh my God, that was horrible. And that I remember vividly.
I do have a big
So I
question.
feel you about the ghost. Honestly, the constipation, you're not far. If it's a week and a half, you're not far behind.
Oh God, yeah. I think it genuinely was. But mine was for a very different reason. But one quick question I have, and I don't know how you feel about when I'm one of those anxious people that, like, if I talk about the thing that I'm anxious about, it makes me more anxious. I don't want to make you more anxious, but I'm wondering, so you tell me if you want to talk about it or not. What are you most scared of?
I am most scared of not being able to handle the transition again. Actually, no, that's not true. What I'm most scared of is doing exactly what I did last time, which is getting a migraine at the point of transition. Because you are at the peak pain that your body can handle at transition. And then I know migraines as being like the peak pain of anything, really. And having the two at the same time was just like excruciating. Yeah.
Have
so
you got
now
your migraine cap?
It's not gonna fucking help me in this case.
You never know.
No, the migraine cap is nice to relieve a little bit. It doesn't take it away. It relieves a little bit, but it doesn't take it away. So my big mission is to figure out what it is that I can take during labor to
try
prevent it from happening. Because I genuinely want to, like, I don't intend to have another child, so I genuinely want to have, like, my dream birth for this one. I want the birth plan that I had with my first son, which is like a water birth, you know, like no interventions, and just like really experience what it is to truly give birth completely naturally. I would, like, you know, 500 years ago in like the forest floor. Yeah. So yeah.
No. If I ever had to go through this, I'd be like, mate, do whatever you can for me not to remember or feel this.
I want to.
The human race won't survive.
I feel like there's this like incredible connection that you have with your child when you naturally birth them. I don't know if it would be the same as C-section, but like, you know, your body went through just trauma. Really what it was meant to do. You know, your body was, all of the systems come into play for you to actually expel the fetus out of your body, and that's fucking incredible. And when it actually does happen, you're like, I was in genuine shock when his head popped out. I was like, I looked at Zach and I was like, oh, did you see that?
I felt it.
And then, he was also in shock, but like, not in a bad way, in like a genuine, like, you know,
holy
wow,
crap.
Your body, you could do that. That's incredible. And then the bond that you have with your child after, you know, you just like, I don't know.
Went through some shit.
Yeah.
Together.
Sometimes literally.
Okay, so if we look at what the worst thing, or the thing you're most afraid of, what are you most excited about
giving birth?
Yeah.
The moment the baby comes out, like that second where you get to see their little face for the first time, and then they put them on your chest, and then your baby instantly knows who you are. Instantly. Who you are. And they do this thing where like they crawl up to your nipple. Like they've never done it in their entire life. Yeah, well, it's interesting because like they've never done it, but yet it's instinctual for them, and they I forgot what they call it, some sort of like crawl thing or something like that. But they will immediately find your nipple, and immediately have like boob crawl or something like that, and then have the instinct to go and start feeding, and it's just like it's incredible. They've never done it. They were in the womb the whole time. They didn't practice, but they knew exactly what to do.
I say this with love, but a lot of mammals out in the wild can do a fuck ton more than we can.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, I know. We're not the special ones. Like, the horses fall straight out of their mum's cooch and then all of a sudden start walking around. So, yeah. I mean, I'm a little bit impressed, but... Okay, so...
It takes a lot to impress you, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. The whole thing, you know what? For my whole life, have never wanted to be pregnant. It's never been something that I've thought about and hoped for or anything like that. I always knew I wanted to be a mum, but the idea of pregnancy, that whole thing, seemed like a barrier to get me to my end goal versus anything else. I have so much anxiety. I genuinely thought to myself, if I ever accidentally got pregnant or like got pregnant, I'd be C-section every day of the week. And, only because I have this thing in my head that it's easier than pushing a baby out you.
Well, I mean,
which now
you
that I know you, I've found that out.
It depends. I think that for the elective C-section, you can just go and they give you the epidural and they cut baby out. I think that it's different from when you have to have an emergency C-section because you still go through all the different phases of contractions and stuff like that. But I will say postpartum, I will take natural birth over C-section postpartum any fucking day. Because I can't imagine that you have to go and get up and take care of a newborn and you've had 7 layers cut in. And no, thank you. That's so much harder.
Read that as well. Yeah. And you, vaginal birth. That's a word. You bounce back easier and quicker from it because it is a process. My next question to you. Have you ever looked, or did you ever look at that downstairs area after giving birth?
No, I didn't.
Because I've seen some stories now lately of people.
But I was like, I had I think 4 stitches. Like, I was like, it ain't going to be pretty. Do you know what I mean? And it was so swollen. Yeah. I mean, it's genuinely like trauma has happened to your area down there. I mean, she ain't going to look what she looked like before, for sure. And frankly, Zach saw because he was there during the entire bus. He was down there. He saw the whole thing. I had no trouble with him seeing. I mean, we've been together for so long, frankly.
I never look. My whole thing of husbands don't ever go down the end. It's like your favorite pub burning down. First of all, what a crock of shit. And second of all, your wife's going through an incredibly traumatic experience to get your child out. Fuck off.
If I have to feel it, you have to see it.
Exactly.
And he was amazing. He was holding my leg up and everything. So he was actively in the whole process. He might as well have been a midwife at that point because he was
Okay, so what's different from last birth to this one? What's the major differences we've got going on?
Birth? I don't know what the major...
No, as in your birth plan from what...
my birth plan. My birth plan is the same for both. It's just the first time was horrible.
But that didn't work out, right? You ended up giving birth in a hospital...
Which,
in bed, right?
So I had to... I really didn't want to do it on my back. So I'll tell you what my birth plan was originally. This is my dream birth plan. It's exactly the same for this one as it was the last. So I wanted no intervention. So no epidural. I didn't want an episiotomy. I didn't want forceps ventouse or anything like that. And I didn't want to be induced. And I wanted a water birth. I wanted dim lights, nice music. I wanted Zach to, calming music, nice fairy lights, dim lights. And I wanted Zach to be in the birthing pool with me. That's what I want. And I want him to be there to support me and help me through my contractions and stuff like that. So that was my birth plan. So the first time around, my waters broke. And then for 12 hours, nothing. 24 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours. Nothing happened. There was no contractions. Apparently I was having them, but I couldn't feel them. So I was pre-labor or something like that. I don't know whatever it was. But anyway, after 48 hours, they say there's a risk of infection. So that's when they admitted me to the hospital and they were like, they tried a gel to induce me with a gel type thing. And when that didn't work, they went and intravenous, Pitocin. And so I think it was total probably 19 hours, 17 hours of going through all the different stages of contraction. So
once they gave you the intravenous, how quickly was it till the...
maybe 10 minutes later, I started really feeling the contractions. I was like, that's what they're supposed to feel like. Up until this point, I had no idea what contractions felt like. So that was fine, and we were like listening to Motown, and Zach was just entertaining all of my midwives. I had like about 3 of them, but they were so lovely. All of them were just so wonderful, and they were like very supportive and stuff like that, which I'm so glad. I like, although it wasn't my dream labor, I'm so glad that we are in the New Zealand system where you get to have your midwives being supportive in your primary care rather than a doctor, because I had an experience with a doctor at the hospital where he had lined up like 4 or 5 students in my room and was like, I'm just going to check how dilated you are. Do you mind if these people watch? And I was like, well, they've got to learn, so why not? And then this guy literally didn't say a single word to me afterwards, proceeded to just like violently shove his hand up my vagina, and I had to grab Zach's hand and squeeze it for dear life because it was so goddamn painful. I didn't expect it at all. I was so fucking mad. And then my midwife came later on. I was like, I don't ever want to see that doctor again. I just felt like a fucking piece of steak.
Violated.
It was horrible. I didn't mind the students. Like, I really genuinely didn't mind the students, but that doctor I did mind because he was an asshole. He had no like whatsoever. So I imagine that when you're just like at a hospital with no midwives and stuff in like other countries, like I can imagine it's just not, because it's very sterile. There's no, it's not amicable or anything like that, you know, like it's people like, not nice.
I think you only want a doctor in the room when something's going wrong.
Exactly. Like, I did have a doctor out.
Their personalities don't need to clash with mine at any particular time until something is in fact going wrong, and then I don't care what they do.
But he was like, honestly,
the personality of a fish.
Do
what you need to do.
Exactly. I don't know where I was going before I veered off on that one. But yeah, the midwives really make a huge difference, I think.
So now for this birth, you've made arrangements for it to be your ultimate birth. Did you already have the arrangements for Remy as well, and it just didn't go to pass? Or because I know what you've done for this one, which is you've got everything booked in and
so I booked myself into a birthing clinic, and they don't have the option for an epidural. They still have the facilities. They still have the facilities for episiotomies and ventouse and forceps if need be, because I mean, if the baby.
I didn't think they weren't allowed to use forceps anymore.
Yeah, they do. No, they do. Remy came out with forceps. They didn't give me the option of a ventouse.
Yeah, I didn't think they used that anymore. Anyway,
it's funny that, because actually where the forceps ended up on his head, sometimes now if he like throws a tanty, it will go red again, exactly where the forceps were.
Oh, sorry. I just remember hearing I remember hearing something about forceps no longer being utilized because it does cause structural damage.
Yeah, it can do, so Remy definitely still has that thing there, and every time he throws a tanty and I can see it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, that's the forceps.
So let's say best case scenario, you're in a pool, little bundle of joy is birthed in the pool, soft music, the whole nine. I hope Zach's rap music is part of the whole
No, I don't want any rap music. No, thank you.
What songs have you got lined up?
I don't know. The pregnancy with Remy and his birth was very Motown oriented,
which is a little bit boppy.
But it was nice
and calm.
I don't know why, but I liked it, and this time around I'm thinking a little bit more lounge, you know.
How far away are you from giving birth?
So today is the 13th of January. My due date is the 11th of February.
Okay, so why haven't you got a playlist ready yet?
I kind of do. I've got the playlist. It's one that I play already. It's like what I like to call dinner party music, you know?
Give me one song.
I'll send you my playlist.
I'm just curious as to what music your little... What are we phrasing him as? Little Bean?
We call him Stretch McGee at the moment.
Stretch McGee? Okay. Because Stretch McGee might then have a preference for that music for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Could be a very impactful first decision.
Remy loves Motown, so definitely I agree that if you listen to music in the womb, they will put that music later for sure.
And then my next question: so you're going to a birthing place.
Clinic.
Didn't even know they existed, by the way. Just thought you had to always do it in the hospital. I knew you could do it at home, but I didn't know there was a specific place.
It's pretty much the same thing. It's pretty much the same thing as being at home, except you've got more people in case something goes wrong, and you've got more equipment as well.
What happens if something goes wrong? What's,
They fly you out. They fly you out to the nearest
helicopter,
hospital.
right?
Yeah.
How far away is the nearest hospital?
So by car is 40 minutes, but by helicopter it could be like 5-10 minutes.
And do we think, how is that happening? Do we know?
It's rare. It's rare because for the most part, they're pretty good at preemptively,
knowing
figuring out what's going to happen and stuff like that. They're very knowledgeable. It's actually incredible. The entire midwifery system is incredible in New Zealand. I have no idea what it's like in the rest of the world. I know that in America they do doulas a lot. Yeah.
Which I think is kind of the same, isn't it?
Kind of, but I think they're more like holistic. Whereas midwives here, it's very medical based.
I have to say that is one word I really like is midwifery.
Yeah, I know, midwifery.
It's a really nice word, midwifery. Yeah. See, this is where you and I, we have a lot of similarities. This is goddamn where we diverge. I just, I would be in the parking lot for the last week of pregnancy just in case, in the hospital, just in case something goes wrong. There's just no way in hell, I wouldn't be taking everything possible to make sure I don't remember all.
I'll tell you, because I was, the first time around, they did, do you know what a TENS machine is?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like that thing that, yeah. So some people use it for when you got really bad period pains. Did nothing for me. Had it
brilliant.
Cranked up to maximum. Did nothing for my contractions because I wasn't having back. I think it works if you have back contractions. But I was having front contractions, so I was like, it ain't doing shit. And then they tried the gas and air, and it just made me throw up.
I was going to say, my sister said she threw up at the gas. Yeah. She threw up into the
Everybody
mask.
else was... No, I took it off.
That's what I remember.
But for me, it wasn't a blown mask. It was like a mask that you put in your mouth.
Oh, yeah.
And I just took the thing off and started biting it because that was better than the gas and air, in my opinion. But I was like, now I feel nauseous.
I know. Please add more to this. Yeah. Are you bringing any particular food or drink into there?
So here's the plan. Because the birthing clinic is only 7 minutes away, I'm going to do most of my pre-labor here. And only at the point where I'm sort of in more active, then I'm going to make my way there. So in theory, I want to do all my eating at home. So I really want to start preparing. Zach and I spent all day yesterday Foxconn factory line making dumplings for postpartum, so it's just easier to just thaw and make noodles and stuff like that. But I was thinking I need to make a whole bunch of high protein things that I can eat during labor, because that was the other reason why it was so tiring the first time around, is because you're not allowed to eat while you're getting induced, because in case they have to take you into surgery, they want your stomach to be empty. And so for 72 hours, basically, I didn't eat. And so go push a baby out after not eating for 72 hours. Fucking awful. So I was like, this time I am stuck in my face.
Yeah. Well, okay, and then that brings up the next question is, okay, you stuff your face. But what if you do need surgery after that? Do they just do it anyway?
I think, I
don't really know how that works.
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah, if you eat, I mean, and you have to have emergency surgery, surely they have to do it.
Yeah. And the complication is if they have to put you under and you throw up, they can't intubate you. That's the problem. Yeah, because you'll have stuff in there. Yeah. So then they'll be shoving air and food back into your lungs, which would be problematic.
I was going to say, I'm not going to lie, but this whole thing has got my heart racing. I don't know how...
At least you can live this vicariously through me.
I will.
I pretty much experienced it.
Basically. I've pretty much done it through you. Well, I was saying that I've got, what are we calling it? Sympathetic pregnancy.
Yeah, I swear. You and Zach both get pregnancy symptoms. I feel so very honored that you love me so much that you're getting sympathetic pregnancy symptoms.
We're taking it on. We just don't want you to be the center of attention. That's all.
Okay, fine. That's fine. I don't mind.
My boobs are better if that helps. No longer the weird mastitis feeling that I don't know why I had.
Oh, good. That was weird.
Did you burning sensation. Look, realistically, I'm not going to lie. That all sounds terrible to me. Just the whole 9 yards. There's nothing at all Like, I always found it fascinating. I still find it fascinating. Like, I find you and I are quite similar. I don't know how you could even think to do this in the way that you're going to do it. Like, be like, no drugs. Like, I want to do it all
I
now.
think
Like,
I'm
it's just
cocky.
not me.
I'm definitely cocky because I've lived my whole life thinking, oh, I've got such a high pain tolerance because I suffer from migraines really regularly.
Regularly.
And I know, like in comparison to other people who get the odd migraine, they're like, oh my god, it's the worst pain in the world. And I was like, I live it every like twice a week.
Bitch.
You know, like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, if I can do that, and I went into my first pregnancy incredibly cocky. I was like, it's gonna be a walk in the park for me. No, it fucking wasn't. Like, did the universe slap me back in the face? Now,
It
humbled me severely. Now I'm a little bit more leveled out about it. It's like, no, it's still migraines. Definitely still worse than migraines, like by far. But I have done it once. I have survived it, and I want a second child more than the suffering.
72 possible hours of just straight up nightmare. I still remember my best friend. She is just, sunshine in a person. She's loves and happy and, all this. And she called me straight after she gave birth and she goes, I thought I was going to die. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
You do. At some point you actually do die and then come back to life. Like the most times that the people like that go through transition, like without an epidural or anything like that, like a lot of partners, like husbands, are like, I thought my wife was dying because she just stopped moving, stopped talking, like, and it is such a stark difference to the not screaming but the groaning and the moaning and the
it's just the nothing,
and then you're just like nothing, like awkward silence of like death, and then baby comes out. It's fine.
That should be the beginning of this episode. Just death, and then the baby comes out. Shit. Not gonna lie, fuck, shit.
Yeah.
Like it's just not.
But it's so beautiful.
I got nothing in me for that, huh?
No, it's so beautiful, and I'm like watching all these like women having like water births at home, and like the moment that comes out, and the absolute relief, like the second the baby comes out, all pain stops.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Yeah, that what happens? All pain
stops like instantly. Like you don't. Well, after you get some more contractions, because first of all, they have to go and massage your belly. The placenta has to come out, and then they have to massage it down so that it forms a clog, so it doesn't, you don't keep bleeding. And then when you breastfeed, every time baby breastfeeds, it sparks more contractions so that your uterus goes back into the normal size.
Look at that.
Fun fact.
We're like a fun little working...
We're a machine.
I mean, the level of oxytocin you must get at the end of that must be like heroin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And also, you don't sleep after... Yeah, so the funny thing is, like, because 72 hours of no sleep, no food, and absolute torture. When I finally got the second epidural, because the first one didn't work, after the second epidural worked, and they were like, well, you have to lie on your back now, because basically your entire bottom half of your body
your legs don't
functions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so which I really didn't want to do. I definitely wanted to be able to be in control of my body because they say, where the like at which point how you angle your legs and stuff, your pelvis opens, and it's meant to mimic and help your baby come out. The fact that they had my legs in one position the entire time, like I think is why we needed forceps. I
was gonna say, lying on your back, I don't think is conducive to giving birth.
No,
is what I understand.
Not at all.
Yeah,
no, not at all. Yeah. Where was I going with this? Epidural.
After your second epidural, food.
My baby brain, I hate it so much. Oh, yes, sorry. I got it.
Yeah.
So essentially, so after my second epidural finally kicked in, so I was laying on my back, and they were like, all right, just have a bit of a rest, and we'll tell you when to start pushing, because you're going to start getting, like, these contractions. You can't feel your contractions, so we have to tell you when you're having contractions, and then you have to go. And they gave me a bed sheet, and they were like, just pull on the bed sheet and just push.
Yeah.
Best you can, even though you can't feel shit. Yeah. And so they're like, just lay back and rest. And then I basically, every time I laid back, I'd start snoring. I was like, instantly fell
Like,
asleep.
pass out.
And I passed out and started snoring. And then they'd be like, wake up, Sarah, it's another contraction. I'd be like, oh God, my midwife. Was like, I've never seen anybody snort in between contractions in my entire career. I was it was so funny. Zach was like, but it was so funny because when baby finally came out and they're like, my midwife was like, now you're going to be like wired. And I'm like, I don't think so. I'm really tired. And she was like, trust me, those hormones are going to kick in and then
they're going
to blink and you're going to be staring at your baby for hours. And I didn't believe her. And that's exactly what happened. For the next 8 hours, I would snooze for 5 minutes and then I'd wake up and stare at my baby.
Because you would immediately go into survival mode, I reckon.
Yeah,
you and
watching
baby survival mode. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, keep this thing alive. There's something primitive and primal about the whole experience, that there's guaranteed that everything that goes on in your body is like preparing you for that.
Yeah, it's got a function. It's there for a reason. I'm excited for all of it. I know it doesn't sound like it's exciting because it sounds incredibly painful, but I'm genuinely excited. But I am determined.
Not be happier that adoption was an option for me.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'd just be out there stealing babies. And that's
I would have already stolen a baby.
I'll tell you why I'm so excited.
Countless amount of animals.
Oh, you'd be a cat lady.
No, not cats. I don't like cats. I would be dog lady. I would even realistically be turtle, hamster, bunny, weird chinchilla person. I would have a chinchilla right now if I didn't have children.
Is a chinchilla take a lot of attention, or?
No, it's just that, I've got too many animals in my house right now and too many children, so I'm just like, ugh. And chinchillas are what I've always wanted my whole life.
Really? Get a goddamn chinchilla.
Mate, they're expensive and hard.
No, are they really? I don't know much about chinchillas.
From when I was younger, I saw them and I was like, holy crap, why can't I get, because you can't get them in Australia. And then I moved to Hong Kong and I found out you can get a chinchilla and I was like, oh my God. But then I was like, I've got 2 dogs, I can't. Anyway, that is so off topic. No, I would definitely have more animals. I would not. I've always thought I would foster children when I was in Australia because that was pretty much your only option. But yeah, no.
I'll tell you why I'm so excited this time. It's because I have done it once before. That now I'm like, okay, so I know the pain level that I'm going to reach.
Yeah.
Yes, it's really bad. Easier. But I feel like now I'm so much better informed in what I can advocate for myself. I've put myself in a position where I can't get an epidural, and
that's right.
I'm hopefully won't get like induced because I really don't want any interventions. But I just feel I'm excited that now I can sort of navigate it and sort of like direct the whole journey in how I want it to be. And I also have the extra motivation of like, this is in theory my last one. Like I really got to make this like my dream come true. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, look, I mean, 2 kids is definitely the end point for me. Yeah. I mean, goddamn, thank God they're cute because it's the only reason they exist at this stage. Like,
absolutely.
Like this morning, both of them came up to me and gave me a big kiss on my face and said, love you, and then left. And I was like, look, I mean, realistically, I'm so excited for you. Like, I'm genuinely excited for you. I'm so excited I don't have to go through
I'll film the whole thing if you want to be really.
I was going to say, from a marketing perspective, if you don't have 85 cameras in that room, I'm so angry at you. I'll
at least have the DJI. No, I want Zach to bring his camera because I do want him. But then he'll be in the pool, so I don't know.
I was going to say you can enter those competitions, like new to the world competitions, which is the pregnancy photography competition, and it's like candid shots of women giving birth and shit. No, you can enter those. I'm just going to try and convince you guys to just film everything.
I really want you to do the old style, like, disposable camera photos. You know how they're just like a little grainy?
Well, you can get a filter for that.
I know you can get a filter for that, but I think it'll be nice. Like, I want to hand it to one of the midwives. Kodak? Yeah. One of the midwives and be like, just take as many photos as you can.
Just click away, lady.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with the placenta? That's my next big
question. You make like a clay vessel for it. Yeah. And then you can make it any shape that you want it. And Zach and I thought we'd be hilarious and we would make it into a dragon boat. because we're like from Hong Kong.
I mean, hilarious would have been making into a giant penis, but yeah, okay.
I see where you would have gone with that. We're thinking, no, it's our son. Let's just be a little bit more serious. So we're like trying to be, cultural and stuff like that. So we had an open boat, by the way. So that's why I say we just plopped it. So we put the boat and then we plopped.
I can hear the sound already.
Yeah.
Especially the sound we're going to put on this video when you say
like a sack of fresh livers, Just,
when would I plop a sack of fresh livers that I would know what that fucking sounds like?
No, you don't. You never plopped a sack of fresh liver. Anyway, and then we put a bit of dirt and we planted a baby apricot tree. Because I was like, I love apricots.
Did it fruit?
And it died. It was not a good situation. It didn't look happy at all. We were like, oh, that was bad.
Well, the plant was probably like, I want, soil and water and,
Yeah, we should have done it to
steak. He was like, here you go.
We should have done is plant it next to a tree that was already mature. And then it would have been able to handle it, I guess. But
Can I try and convince you to turn it into pill format? Because I really want to see what happens when that happens.
Well, do you want to try one? I'll send you one.
No. I mean, don't get me wrong. But I'm interested. Do you know what? I've had, first of all your boob milk all over me anyway. But I'm sure a placenta would be incredibly nutritious. Like, all of a sudden, I grow, like, an extra limb.
You could wake up and not need glasses the next day,
Oh, my God. I could become a placenta superhero.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying no to this.
No, what I did want to do, and I don't think we have the money for it anyway, but ew.
And lasagna. I'll send you the recipe. I'll convince you.
No, what I did see was, and it's not necessarily the placenta, but more of the cord. You can do, you can harvest the stem cells from the umbilical.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned that to me. Yeah.
Cord bank, and then if the baby develops any problems later on in life, you can use those stem cells to.
That's more legit, if I'm honest.
Yeah. That's the one that I like to do
under an apricot tree. So, are you going to do that again? You're going to plant it?
I don't know. I want to do something different with it because we sold the house that we planted it, so now his placenta's living in somebody else's backyard.
I mean, lost opportunity right there.
Yeah.
Let's look up some options for your placenta.
Let's find
what could be good content.
Yeah, it would be good content.
And like, for all it's worth.
No, I love it. I think we should. It would make good content the whole process.
I wonder what you could do with it. All right, that's our task. Anybody have suggestions? You let us know. Placenta.
Yeah. Something really
placenta. Wild.
Really, incredibly wild.
Crazy wild. I mean, you're going to end up eating it. This is where this ends.
No, I'm not eating my own placenta. Okay, I have a good diet.
Nutritious. All right, I'm going to let you go.
Imagine. Yeah.